The 1977 Oklahoma Girl Scout murders were a tragic event that took place on June 13, 1977, at Camp Scott, near Locust Grove, Oklahoma. 3 young girls, Lori Lee Farmer, who was 8 years old, Doris Denise Milner, who was 10, and Michelle Heather Goose, who was 9, were brutally murdered during their first night at the camp. The girls were staying in Tent 8 in the Kiowa unit, which was one of the most remote spots in the camp, about 150 yards from the counselor's tent. That night, there was heavy rain and a thunderstorm. Sometime during the early hours, someone entered the girls' tent, attacked them, and killed them. The next morning, a camp counselor discovered the girls' bodies. They had been beaten and strangled, and their bodies were left near the tent. The news of the murders shocked the entire country and led to a massive investigation. Authorities focused on Gene Leroy Hart, a local man who had escaped from prison and was hiding in the area. Hart had a history of violent crimes, including rape, and had managed to evade the police for years. He became the prime suspect after investigators found evidence linking him to the crime scene, such as a roll of tape and a flashlight that had been used in the murders. The search for Hart was intense, involving hundreds of law enforcement officers and volunteers combing the rugged terrain around Locust Grove. After several months, Hart was finally captured in April 1978. He was put on trial, but despite the evidence against him, he was acquitted by the jury in 1979. Many believe that his acquittal was influenced by the local community, which was sympathetic to Hart and believed he had been wrongly accused. Although Hart was found not guilty, he was sent back to prison to serve the remainder of his previous sentence for other crimes. He died of a heart attack a few months later in 1979. The case remained unsolved, and no one was ever convicted for the murders. Over the years, the case continued to haunt the families of the victims and the community. Various theories emerged about who might have been responsible, but nothing was proven. Some people believed that there was more than one person involved, while others thought that the real killer might have been someone else entirely. In recent years, there have been efforts to use modern DNA technology to solve the case. In 2008 and again in 2022, authorities attempted to re-examine the evidence using new forensic methods. However, the results were inconclusive, and the case remains officially unsolved to this day. The 1977 Oklahoma Girl Scout murders are still remembered as one of the most horrifying crimes in the state's history. The tragedy led to changes in how camps were run, with increased security measures to protect children. Despite the passage of time, the loss of Lori Farmer, Denise Milner, and Michelle Goose continues to be a painful memory for their families and the people who were involved in the case. The murders serve as a reminder of the vulnerability of children and the importance of safety in places where they are supposed to be protected.